Hey guys, in this video I'm going to be going over my Shock Nova Templar in Path of Exile. So this character is based around using the skill Shock Nova, which is a skill that it creates a ring of lightning around you, which deals a lot of lightning damage, but there's this dead zone in between you and the actual ring of lightning. So any monsters that are really close to you won't take any damage, but the ones at a distance will get hit. So, as you see, he's not taking any damage, he's right next to me. So, I've linked my Shock Nova with this skill, Concentrated Effect, which gives me a ton more damage, but reduces the area of effect. So as you can see, the area is a lot smaller, so it's really easy to hit enemies that are right next to me. So, I do about 660 damage, which is about 250 increase from my concentrated effect. So, for this build, I try to shock the enemy a lot, because when you shock an enemy, it basically makes them take 40% more damage for a certain period of time, and that effect can stack up to 3 times. So you can get an enemy to take 120% more damage for a short time, which is a ton of more damage. So you can really DPS down tough monsters with lots of HP. So in my passive tree, I get these static blows, the static blows passive, this chance of shock passive, and shock duration passives. So these two give me a total of 20% chance to shock the enemy when I hit them with lightning damage, and I also get a bit of shock duration. So I also have a quality Shock Nova, so this is a pretty high quality one. It's got 15%, and that 15% gives me 22% chance to shock the enemy and 45% increased shock duration. So along with my passives, that is about 40% chance to shock, which is pretty high. So I also use this Curse Conductivity, which it decreases enemies' lightning resistance, which will make them take more damage, and it also gives me an 11% chance to shock enemies with lightning damage. So in the end, I have over 50% chance to shock, which is a lot. So for my passives, let's see if I can hear. I started out as a Templar. I get the mana regen, the elemental damage nodes, which will increase my lightning damage. Some more elemental damage and resistances go through the mana. Get the life, get some armor and energy shield nodes. I'm about to get body and soul, and then I get the lightning damage, some elemental damage. Go up here, get the buff effect auras, which will increase the effectiveness of all my buffs, like clarity, by 30%. Go up here, I get the chaos resistance node, the life nodes, and my shock nodes. Get some lightning damage, and then get a big chaos resistance node here, and then Eldritch Battery. So Eldritch Battery is actually a really cool keystone. It'll convert all my energy shield to mana, so as you see I have no energy shield, and I've got almost 700 mana. So this actually lets me get a really big mana pool, especially when I use the aura Discipline. So as you can see, it reserves 160 mana, but I gain 113 energy shield. But when I use it, I go from 680 mana to almost 1,000 mana. So it's a pretty big increase, and that is because this 113 additional energy shield gets multiplied by my buff effects, and then my energy shield, and then my mana nodes. So I get like 200 to 300 more mana from just this aura alone. And when I level this up, it would go up a lot. So then I also use clarity to give me a lot of mana regen. So I regen about 54 mana per second, and my primary attack costs 46. So I can cast it pretty fast, and my mana doesn't go down a whole lot. So when I go to fight monsters, first what I do is I throw down a spell totem, and I curse the enemy. It works better when there's bigger packs of mobs here. So throw down a totem, curse them and just use Shock Nova. And as you can see, they got that shock effect around them, which means they're shocked. So this totem I'm using is, I use its skill Arc with Spell Totem, Faster Casting, and Elemental Proliferation. So the skill Arc is basically, it just launches like a beam of lightning that will chain throughout the enemies, and each time it hits an enemy, it has a 10% chance to shock the enemy. So that's 10%, and then it's also the plus 20% from my passives, and then if I have my conductivity curse, it'll be up to 40%. So I use this with a spell totem, so I can drop a totem, and this totem will just start shooting the enemies with lightning, and as you see, it chains between them all and shocks them. And I have faster casting, so that it can shoot out a lot of lightning in a quick time, so it can spread shock effects quicker. And elemental proliferation, which is a really cool support gem that basically it will spread the shock effect out to nearby enemies. So with all these combined, it can shock whole packs of enemies extremely quickly, which will let me do a lot of DPS. So for enemies I don't want to stay close to, I just use Freezing Pulse. It's not very good at single target damage, so I don't use it a whole lot. But if I need to like stay distance from high damage enemies, then I'll just use that in conjunction with my Arc Totem. So some problems with the build are that since to use your Shock Nova with concentrated effect, you have to get really close to the enemies. It's really easy to take a lot of damage, and since you don't have any energy shield because it's converted all to mana, it makes you extra squishy. So it's pretty hard to stay alive sometimes. So you're gonna want to get a lot of resists and armor. So I've max elemental resist and then 23% chaos resistance, but my armor is really bad. I've only got 20% physical damage reduction, so that's something I'd want to improve on. So overall, this build is pretty fun, but I wouldn't really recommend it. It's too squishy, and just personally doesn't seem very good. So I'll probably be using my respec points and respecing into an Ice Shot Bow Templar, which I'll make a video of that once I get to a higher level. But this build is still, it's decent, so if you want to use it, go ahead. You just need to get spell damage, added lightning damage, resistances, and armor. So you don't really need a whole lot of gear except the quality Shock Nova, which is pretty hard to come by. Not many people will have them, and you need concentrated effect. So thanks for watching. I hope you like the video and the build. See you guys later.